The religious tend to think that their own belief systems are special and everybody else's are dumb, but I think that they're all dumb. I think they're all doing the same general thing with their hands out for everyone else's money, and that's positively stupid. It's only in the details that they differ, and the details, they're really not that dramatic, are they? So let's go watch the complaining, soon to be in progress. Won't that be fun? We've got a video today from the complete idiot at Red Pen Logic. Now, we've done plenty of those videos in the past, and it's always ludicrous, but hey, I guess we can give it another go. Today, Tim wants to address the idea that all religions are saying the same thing. Now, that's not true, of course, except in the broadest of strokes, but the only thing that matters is if any of them are actually telling the truth. And the answer to that is no. Are you nuts? So let's see where Tim goes wrong, because he always does, right?
Do you know what the real difference is between all of these?
Well, for starters, the nature of ultimate reality, what it means to be human, the solution to the human predicament, the nature of right and wrong, the meaning and purpose to life, and what happens after we die.
And Tim has no answers to any of those, does he? Oh, he's great at telling emotionally comforting stories, but nothing that ever stands up to any kind of rational critical scrutiny, and that's kind of the problem. Granted, Tim doesn't care. This is all about pandering to a particular set of religious wingnuts so that they keep giving him money. As far as I know, Tim doesn't have a legitimate day job. He just shills for religion full time. And that's not really something to be proud of, is it? Not that he cares or anything, because these idiots are shameless. So I assume he was going somewhere with all of this, and rather than trying to read his mind, because I really don't want to be in there, let's just let him get back to the video, okay?
Nothing.
Okay, let's play the whole video and see what she says, and then give me a couple minutes to respond.
See, I don't do that. Now, I'm not really going to complain about his stylistic choices, because lots of people do, taking something controversial from later on in the video and just playing it up front to get someone's interest. It's pandering to the algorithm and trying to get more people to watch for longer so that he makes more money on all his ads. But you notice I never do that, right? I just play the video straight. If it's a boring video, and I'll be honest, most of them are, then we suffer through the stupidity until we find something worth responding to. But, okay, let's go through the whole video and hope that you've got something worthwhile to say. I think we all know otherwise, and since I've got no vested interest whatsoever in the witch or whatever she is, she might have nothing interesting to say either, but that's how these things work out, right? So go ahead, Tim, impress us. Or, let's be honest, don't.
And let me tell you why. All major religions and spiritual paths are saying the same thing at the core.
And that's true. It's the same bullshit, only the details are different. It's all intended to get people to give money to the churches and support the clergy class, because that's ultimately all religion is. Just because you can say, mine says something marginally different than the religion over there, which is really what Tim is about to do, that doesn't change the core message of, give me a buck and I'll promise you unjustified bullshit because it keeps you coming back. That's what they're doing, and Tim knows it. Or maybe not. Tim might be monumentally stupid. Anyone with a brain knows that. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that everyone is in on the con. Tim might not be. I don't know. Greg Kukl certainly is, but Tim, yeah, he never really struck me as being particularly bright, so maybe he's just doing what he's been told by his betters while they're raking in all the cash. I tried to figure out what Tim is actually worth, but all the results came up for Tim Barnett, the football player, so I guess we're going to just have to guess. Anyway, let's just get back to it.
Deep down, we all come from the same source.
I mean, that's a claim. Yes, we all evolved on this rock, and that is the same source, so there's some truth to that, I guess. But the religious, and I'm not even going to try to guess what the witch is going to say, but the religious have another source in mind that is not intellectually or evidentially defensible. So I guess we have to get back to Tim to see how he's going to respond, and hopefully I'm not going to have to jump in again before that, but unfortunately you never really know, do ya?
We're all connected. Whether you call it God, Yahweh, Allah, Jah, Tao, or the universe, it doesn't matter.
And I guess I have to. Sorry. See, none of this stuff is at all defensible. It's just shit people make up because it makes them happy, not because it's justifiably true, and it's the justification that matters, not your pathetic fee-fees. A lot of people are just trying to get to emotional comfort, and that proves just how irrational they are. I guess it depends on how you look at it as to how connected we all are. I mean, we are social creatures that depend on other people to survive, so there is that. I'll buy that for $1, I guess. Anything more than that, though, not so much. You have people who go out into the middle of nowhere and live like hermits, rarely interacting with other people and living a subsistence level life. So who are they connected to? I mean, demonstrably. And the answer, of course, is nobody. So I'm not sure where she's going to go with this. And like I said, I'm not even going to try to predict it because I'm not all that familiar with witches, especially not whatever kind of witch she is, because we don't know that. And besides, we're really here for Tim's dumb take, not hers, so I guess we have to get back to it.
What does matter? Love.
I mean, that's kind of handy and all, but I wouldn't say it really matters. Because as I said, for a hermit out in the woods, who does he love? Who loves him? Who even knows he's alive? Nobody, probably, so the whole claim just falls apart. Maybe he's got a possum as a pet or something, I've got no idea, but human-to-human love? That doesn't seem to exist for that individual, yet he still survives. I mean, I wouldn't want to live like that, but you do you and all. This is where we get down to the standard emotional pandering that the religious pull all the time, because they know that they can't make a case intellectually. They certainly can't produce any evidence that anything that they're trying to say is true. They just really like the idea. They just have to run on pure fee-fees and faith, and I don't find that at all impressive. If you do, please explain why down in the comments, because I'd really like to know. Sorry, I'm spending all my time responding to her, and Tim hasn't come along yet to say anything embarrassing. He will, but he hasn't yet. I mean, maybe that's coming up, I don't really know.
Peace, justice, and kindness. Now that's the real truth.
Not really. I mean, sure, those are things that most of us want, but there's a big difference between what you wish was true and what is actually true, and far too many people out there have a problem understanding the difference. Reality is what exists beyond us, not what we embrace in our heads, and again, that's the kind of thing that the religious tend to focus on, because it's easier to scam the emotionally gullible than it is a rational skeptic. But don't you really want this to be true? Who cares? I really don't. I'm concerned with what is actually true, not what I'd really like to be true, and the religious, they tend to have a problem with that, don't they? And that's kind of sad.
Prophets throughout history figured this out, and tried to spread the message. Since they lived in different times and in different places, they used different words, symbols, and metaphors.
You know, this is really starting to look like a Tim Barnett video with Tim hardly even in it, right? I mean, he's sitting right there, trying to look smart and failing, but he's hardly said anything, has he? I'm assuming that's got to change, but right now it doesn't look like it. Anyhow, I'm just going to agree here, at least to a certain extent, because clearly all kinds of prophets and other con men have come to that conclusion over time, and usually independently of each other. That's not to say that everyone is always in on the scam. There are true believers after all, but the religions and belief systems that are successful, the ones that go on for a long time and have a lot of members, they tend to survive the death of their prophets or whatever, don't they? Those are the ones where the higher-ups are in on the con because they know it's all bullshit, but they can spin a good yarn, can't they? They know why they're doing it, at least on some level. Power, money, and influence, those are very appealing to a certain kind of person. That's why most of human history has gone the way that it has. Con men at the top and idiots at the bottom. Tell me you're not surprised.
To explain it. The problem? People took those symbols literally.
I agree. It still happens today. I guess this really isn't much of a Tim Barnett video, is it? But I can respond to witches too. I don't mind. If anybody wants to send in more videos for me to look at, witch videos I mean, I'd be happy to look at those too. The problem is, obviously, that people took these stories seriously and stopped caring if any of it was demonstrably true. Because it's the truth that ought to matter, but when you've been lied to your entire life and told that your feelings mean more than the actual facts, that's when you tend to get into trouble, isn't it? But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what comforts you, it's what's really going on out there that matters, because your wishes and your dreams have zero impact on the real world. This is why it all becomes a scam. Person A gets sick. Hell, they get cancer. Why not? Their church says, we'll pray for you so you keep giving us your money. Person A does so and ends up dying anyhow. But hey, the money stays there, doesn't it? It doesn't go back to person A's family because the church fucked up. Because the people really aren't important to the scam. It's the material wealth and the influence and the power that the churches can extract from you that does. People really need to stop pretending that there's anything else going on at the upper levels of religion. Religion is just a business that offers nothing of demonstrable substance and demands absolute adherence from its victims. And this is not something you should be proud of. So, don't be.
People got caught up in the differences and started dividing instead of uniting.
Again, very true. Now, I get that she's trying to go for a rah, everybody sing kumbaya thing, and that's really kind of dumb. That is not how humanity works. It reminds me of someone on Reddit who was asking if his Zero Predators world that he wanted to make was realistic. Well, no, it isn't, because everything is a predator in some sense of the word. If you weren't, then you couldn't eat. No, he meant that everyone was a vegetarian. And I had to point out that that did away with population control. If no animals ever died except through natural means in old age, then you were going to have massive overpopulation problems. Or they would just crash the entire ecosystem and everyone would die. So that's just a dumb idea, but sure, if you want to write complete fantasy, knock yourself out. Fantasy doesn't really have to make sense. I figure this guy was a hardcore vegetarian trying to justify his beliefs in some way, and that's just as dumb as what the religious do, but it's all pretty much done for the same reasons, isn't it? Feelings over facts, emotions over evidence. And it's really, really dumb.
At the end of the day,
What the hell is on your head? Okay, I don't know. The hat was silly enough, but what the fuck is that thing? I mean, seriously, what is it with the religious and their funky hats? Anyhow, sorry, just had to throw that in there because that one's a peach. But let's get back just to see if Tim ever gets a word in edgewise, because right now we're almost halfway through the video and he really hasn't said much, has he?
All religions are pointing to the same truth. So stop fighting over the details and live the message.
And that's a really, really bad idea. Stop worrying about the message and start dealing with reality. Because whether you like it or not, reality isn't going to go away no matter how hard you try to ignore it. Reality is what's outside the door of your church, no matter how long you hide inside. Embracing emotional bullshit doesn't make the real world stop, and that's really what we need to take away from all of this. What you wish was true doesn't mean anything if it isn't actually true. I said something about the person with cancer before and the church that took advantage of them. How about you just stop talking to yourself and get the best medical care that you can? You know, the stuff that demonstrably works. It's not perfect and it won't stop you from dying forever, but it's a hell of a lot better than paying a con man to lie to you while he pockets your paycheck. That's a complete waste of time and resources, but the religious are counting on people being that dumb, and I think it's time that all of that crap went away. Humanity needs to be smarter. It needs to be less gullible. It needs to be able to think, not just feel. Because wouldn't that be nice? Seriously, tell me if you disagree down in the comments, because I really can't imagine anyone in my regular crowd who would.
Love, unity, and respect for all. You can trust me.
Yeah, you can see any conman preacher saying that, can't you? Never trust anyone who says you can trust them. You notice I never say that, right? I don't care if you trust me at all. Hell, I tell you to double check what I say because I am not presenting myself as an expert on anything. And neither should anybody else. And even if I was, don't trust me or anybody else without doing the work for yourself. Because that's how people get into trouble, trusting other people without having done their due diligence. Let people do things, but always have a backup plan. Most people are inherently not trustworthy, especially strangers, and even if a lot of them might come through on their promises, don't expect that because tons will disappoint you. That's just the world that we live in. People suck. I trust that doesn't surprise anybody out there, right?
I'm a good witch.
That may all sound nice, but there are some serious problems with this view.
Holy crap! It's Tim! He said something! What the hell? Okay, I will agree that there are serious problems with that view. I've already detailed my take, and if you think differently, the comments are open for your responses. But I'm willing to bet that whatever Tim has to say, I'm not going to agree with him because I'm not coming at it from his perspective. His perspective, I figure, since I obviously haven't seen it yet, is effectively going to be, that doesn't help my con, so it's gotta be wrong. Something to that effect. Maybe he's not going to use those words because that'll let the cat out of the bag, but that's the idea behind it. But see, I have no con to protect. I get nothing out of this, no matter what you believe. That's not something that Tim can say. He's got to come back with, but we're special. And we're not. You're just another con in a world full of cons, all vying over an increasingly limited resource as most people stop believing this bullshit. That's why churches are going out of business left and right. So, just for shits and giggles, I decided to see if I can find a Wiccan coven near me. But apparently, there are none, or at least none that advertise. Does that mean something? I don't know, I have no idea, I just thought I'd throw that in.
The idea is called religious pluralism, the claim that all religions are equally valid paths to the same truth, but it falls apart under closer examination.
Which is why I'm not doing that. I'm saying that all religions are equally bullshit. There is no demonstrable truth in any of them. It's all a scam, or at the very least, ludicrously scam-like, and anywhere but religion, this would all get shut down by the authorities. Nowhere else can you make entirely unjustified claims and pass the collection plate, but with religion, it's entirely fine. So I think the witch is full of shit, and Tim is too. Now, we're actually going to have to stop here for the day, and I had hoped to get further with Tim's take. I had no idea whatsoever that this was going to go on so long with Tim just watching a video. This is another thing that I had fully intended to do in one, but there's just so much that I felt that I had to stop and respond to, and it wasn't even Tim. So next time, we're going to pick up again right here with Tim whining about things, I'm sure, because his religion isn't getting the supposed respect that he thinks it deserves, because that's how Tim makes money, and he can't admit that anyone else might have any validity whatsoever, or that his own beliefs might have no validity at all, because that's going to impact his bottom line, isn't it? I'm serious, that is what this is always about. None of these people are doing this for free, and so long as that's the case, it's going to get absolutely no respect from me. But what about you? Do you agree or disagree with anything that I've said? Or with what she's said? Or with what Tim has said? The very few things that he's actually said. Let me know down in the comments. This is probably a new one for the channel, sort of talking about quasi-witchcraft, although I don't want to put any words in her mouth or anything. I'd almost say it might be interesting to go and look at some witch-type videos, and if anybody has any suggestions, you know what to do down in the comments. But anyhow, let's let Tim stew for a week, and we'll come back and see where this goes. Because I don't think it's going to go anywhere intelligent, but the only way that we're going to know for sure is to come back and see. So I'll see you next time.